Long ago, in a time when the American frontier was still a tapestry of endless possibility and quiet peril, there lived a boy named Samuel. The land he knew was raw and untamed, a place of hard won progress. Small villages were little more than clusters of log cabins, their chimneys breathing thin trails of smoke into the vast sky. These settlements clung to the edges of wide meadows and nestled in the hollows of rolling hills, their humble existence a testament to the perseverance of their inhabitants. The woods were not just a backdrop, they were a living, breathing presence, a place of shadow and mystery that stretched on, seemingly forever. Rivers cut silver paths through the countryside, their ceaseless murmur a constant rhythm in the quiet life of the people. In those days, life was shaped by the rhythm of the seasons, the unyielding demand of labor, and the deep, abiding wisdom of simple folk who had learned to read the land as if it were a book. Samuel lived with his mother Martha in a modest wooden house that sat on the very cusp of a small, unnamed village. Their home was a simple, one story affair, a testament to efficiency and necessity. A single room served as their kitchen, living area, and heart of the home, dominated by a great stone hearth that crackled with perpetual warmth. A smaller, separate room was their sanctuary for sleep, though it was still within earshot of the fire's gentle song. The house was plain, with unpainted walls and a roof of hewn shingles, but to Samuel it was the center of his world, a fortress filled with the most profound kind of wealth, love. Martha, his mother, was a woman whose spirit was as strong and steady as the oaks in the forest. Her hands were calloused from a lifetime of work, yet they moved with a grace that could turn flour and water into a perfect loaf of bread or transform a ragged patch of cloth into a sturdy garment. From the moment the first sliver of sunlight pierced the eastern sky until the moon rose like a pale coin, she was in constant motion. She baked, she mended, she swept the dirt floor clean, and she tended to Samuel with a patience that never seemed to fray at the edges. Her love was not a soft, indulgent thing. It was a practical, watchful force that sought to shield her son from the unyielding hardships of their world. She was the family's anchor, a wellspring of quiet strength and a voice of sober wisdom. Samuel was a force of nature in his own right, a boy with a restless energy that seemed to vibrate in his very bones. His eyes, the color of a summer sky, were always alight with a fierce curiosity, taking in every detail of the world around him. His legs were long and tireless, carrying him faster and farther than any boy his age in the village. He loved the open expanse of the meadows, where the grass tickled his knees and the wind carried the scent of wildflowers. He cherished the river that wound its way behind their home, a place of smooth stones and cool running water. But most of all, he was drawn to the dark green forest, which seemed to whisper secrets and stories on the wind. The woods held an irresistible allure for him, promising adventure and the thrill of the unknown. Though Samuel was bright and full of life, he carried one troublesome flaw, a shadow that dimmed his otherwise sunny disposition. He did not like to listen to his mother's advice. Martha, in her gentle way, tried often to impress upon him the gravity of the world outside their home. "My dear Samuel," she would say, her voice soft but her eyes serious, "the world is larger and more cunning than you know. There are dangers that lie where eyes cannot see, and a child who does not heed wise counsel may stumble into sorrow." But Samuel, a boy with a heart as restless and untamed as the frontier itself, believed he knew better. He would not, his head bobbing in what looked like agreement, and he would offer a quick "Yes, mother." Yet in his heart, a little voice of youthful arrogance would counter, "Mother worries too much, she doesn't understand the great wide world. Nothing bad will happen to me." He saw her counsel not as a shield but as a cage, an attempt to keep his adventurous spirit from soaring. One morning the world woke to a peculiar beauty. The air was fresh and damp, thick with the scent of coming rain, a smell that promised to wash the dust from the world. Yet the sun still shone, its light a brilliant gold that bathed the meadows and hills in a radiant glow. The fields stretched out, a vibrant green, but on the horizon, just above the line of the deep forest, heavy clouds began to gather. They were dark and bruised, the color of iron ore, and they swelled and churned with an ominous energy. Martha stood in the doorway, a bowl of flour in her hands, and looked at the sky with a profound sense of foreboding. "Samuel," she called out, her voice carrying a note of concern, "today you must not stray near the woods. The sky is turning. A great storm is coming. Stay close to the house and gather kindling by the fence, where you will be safe." Samuel, already planning a day of exploration, felt a familiar pang of frustration. He promised with a quick nod and, in a show of good faith, carried a few small sticks from the woodpile by the fence back to the door. But as soon as his mother turned her back to the hearth, the irresistible tug of curiosity returned. He imagined how magnificent the storm would look from the highest point in the forest, a small hill just beyond the tree line. Only a little way in, he told himself, the voice of his rebellious heart growing louder. I will not go far. I will see the storm from the hill and then I will return before it truly begins. So he slipped away, his small feet quick and eager as they crossed the meadow. He squeezed through the wooden rails of the fence, the sound of his mother's gentle humming fading behind him, and stepped into the long, cool shadow of the forest. At first, a peaceful stillness enveloped him. The forest floor was a plush carpet of moss and fallen leaves, silent under his tread. Golden shafts of sunlight filtered through the dense canopy of leaves, illuminating dust motes dancing in the air. Birds chattered from the branches, their calls a cheerful secret language, and a curious squirrel darted across his path before scampering up a tall pine. Samuel laughed softly to himself, a sound of pure contentment. He was proud of his daring, of his ability to navigate this wild and wonderful place. He climbed the small hill, and from its crest, he could see both the vast green sea of treetops and, in the distance, the thin wisp of smoke from the chimney of his home. Everything seemed safe, controlled, and beautiful. But the light began to change. The clouds thickened above, swallowing the golden sun in a slow, relentless advance. The forest floor, once a dappled canvas of light and shadow, was now plunged into a uniform grey gloom. The wind grew sharp and cold, a new mournful sound, bending the trees until they creaked and moaned like old ships at sea. The birds fell silent, their cheerful chatter replaced by the sharp rustle of leaves and the low roar of the approaching storm. The first drops of rain fell, cool against Samuel's upturned face, and he lingered, unwilling to turn back, still fascinated by the spectacle unfolding above. He was determined to see the storm's heart, to witness its full untamed fury. Suddenly, with a sound like a great canvas tearing in two, thunder split the sky. A jagged bolt of lightning, a flash of pure brilliant white, lit the woods from end to end, revealing every twisted branch and gnarled root in stark detail. A moment later, the rain began to pour in a torrent, a heavy driving sheet that blotted out the light and turned the ground to slick, sucking mud. Samuel gasped, the thrill of the moment dissolving into a cold, hard knot of fear in his stomach. He turned to go home, his mind racing, but the path he had followed was no longer there. The familiar landmarks were gone, shrouded in a swirling mist of rain and shadows. Every tree looked the same, tall, black and stern, and the ground pulled at his shoes, holding him fast. He tried one way, then another, but each turn led him deeper into a maze of darkness. The cheerful forest of the morning, his place of triumph, had become a prison of his own making. Panic seized him. The branches, which had seemed so welcoming and protective just moments before, now clawed at his arms and face. The storm roared so loud he could barely hear his own frantic cries. His small body shook with cold and terror, and his bravado was washed away by the deluge. He was lost, alone, and desperately afraid. For the first time in that dark, cold moment, Samuel wished with every fiber of his being that he had listened to his mother. He had traded her love and safety for a foolish adventure, and now he was paying the price. A deep sense of regret settled over him. He thought of her warm kitchen, the scent of fresh bread, the sound of her gentle voice. He could almost feel the heat from the hearth, a warmth he had foolishly left behind. He was a fool, a small, arrogant fool who had learned a terrible lesson. Tears, hot and stinging, burned his eyes as he crouched by the gnarled root of a great oak. Hugging his knees to his chest, he was utterly and completely alone. Then, through the howling wind and the deafening crash of thunder, came a sound, faint at first, a distant echo, but growing clearer and more persistent with each passing moment. It was his name. Samuel! Samuel! His heart, which had been a frozen lump of despair, leapt in his chest. Hope, a fragile, brilliant thing, took root in the darkness. He struggled to his feet, his muscles stiff and cold, and stumbled toward the sound. Through the blinding rain and the deepening gloom, he saw it, a small, steady glow, a single point of light cutting through the oppressive blackness. There, moving steadily through the storm, was his mother. Her dress was drenched, plastered to her small frame, her hair plastered to her face. Yet her eyes shone with a love so fierce and unwavering that it seemed to outshine the lantern she carried. Samuel ran, a broken, sobbing mess, into her arms. She held him tightly, her arms a strong, protective shield. She wrapped her shawl around his trembling body, a soft, familiar comfort. Her voice, when she spoke, was calm but filled with the profound weight of truth. "My son," she said, her words barely audible above the storm's fury. "Love listens, and obedience is not a burden, it is a shield." Hand in hand, they made their way back through the storm. The little lantern, which had seemed so insignificant, now blazed a brilliant guiding path. Every step of the way, Martha pointed out a familiar rock, a specific bend in a tree, showing him the way he had missed in his fear. At last, they reached their little home. The sight of the chimney, the scent of wood smoke, and the glow from the hearth felt like a homecoming from a journey of 1,000 miles. Martha set Samuel by the fire, wrapped him in dry blankets, and gave him a bowl of warm broth. He sat there, humbled and repentant, gazing at her face, at the smudges of mud, the streaks of rain, and the enduring love in her eyes. He knew, with a certainty that reached into the deepest part of his heart, that he had been wrong. From that day forward, something within Samuel shifted. He was still curious, still lively, and still loved to explore the great wide world. But now, his daring was tempered with a newfound respect for his mother's words. He learned to listen, to truly hear the wisdom in her counsel. In time, he came to understand that her warnings were not meant to spoil his freedom, but to protect him from dangers his young eyes could not yet see. He learned that her love was not a chain that held him back, but a lantern that lit the way, a shield against sorrow, a voice of reason in the great, beautiful chaos of the world. And so Samuel grew into a wiser boy and later into a man who valued the wisdom of others. He knew that the most profound lessons were often the most painful, and that humility was a far greater strength than youthful pride. When he told his own children stories, he often spoke of the day he disobeyed, of the terrifying roar of the storm, and of the light that guided him home. It was a lesson he never forgot, a story he would forever carry as a testament to the power of a mother's love and the quiet truth that wisdom, like a light in the darkness, is a gift to be cherished.